A very good morning, class 10 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by Jagrati Classes. We were doing chapter 12th of class 10th, that is electricity. So we are going to continue with our same chapter, electricity. But before this, I want to tell you that in our previous video lecture, we have completed very important introductory part of the chapter. And in that, I have told you the various terms, their definition, whichever are being used. Then we discussed what are the different symbols which we require whenever we want to draw a circuit. Okay, and the formulas and important units, everything we have discussed in our previous video lecture. So with this video, we'll be starting with a new topic, that is Ohm's law. So this is for class 10th and we are doing chapter 12, electricity. And the topic for today's class is Ohm's law. So what is Ohm's law? Ohm's law was given by a scientist, a physicist in turn, and his name was Sir George Simon Ohm. So Sir George Simon Ohm in 1827 proposed a law which is called Ohm's law. And in turn, because you know that it was generated or proposed by Sir George Simon Ohm, in turn it has the same name. But what do you actually mean a law? So this Ohm's law means he proposed a mathematical relationship between two physical parameters. The one physical parameter was current and the next one was potential. So in Ohm's law, Sir George proposed a relationship between the current flowing. Current is denoted by the symbol capital I. The SI unit of current is amperes. So he gave a relationship between the current flowing through the conductor everywhere we are writing conductor. Conductor means the substance which allows the current to flow through it. You have read in your junior classes, you have two kinds of materials. Either it can be a good conductor or a poor conductor of heat and electricity. So good conductors, you can also refer to them as conductors, and the poor conductors are known as insulators. So Sir George Simon Ohm, he proposed the relationship between the current flowing through a conductor. Conductor means any metallic wire, okay? Wherever we have used the term conductor, it denotes wire which is allowing the current to flow through it. The one physical parameter used was current and the next one was potential. And the potential, which is denoted by the symbol V, applied across its terminals. Applied across the terminals of wire or the terminals of conductor. So in turn, this relationship proposed by Sir George Simon Ohm is called as Ohm's law. Now, in the next point, we have to study what kind of relationship did he propose. Okay, so this basically, the third point would give you the statement for Ohm's law. So Sir George Simon Ohm, he proposed that the current flowing through the conductor, the current flowing through any conductor or any metallic wire is directly proportional. That is, it depends directly on the potential applied to the applied potential. Which can be, in turn, this statement is the current which is flowing through the conductor, it would be directly proportional to the applied potential. And if we represent this statement mathematically, then this would be the current flowing is directly proportional to potential, V is directly proportional to I. What does the term directly proportional means? Directly proportional means if you increase one quantity, that is, if I increase the value of potential, then the amount of current would also increase. And if I decrease the value of potential, then the current flowing through that same metallic wire, it would decrease or it would reduce. So this is the direct relationship between potential and current. And before giving the law, he also experimented that he made a circuit, and what he did is he changed the value of potential. And in turn, when he measured the value of current flowing through that metallic wire, he observed that as he increased the values of potential, in the same manner, with the same range, the magnitude of current was also increasing. And then he proposed the law that always potential is directly proportional to the applied current. And we all know that whenever we remove this proportional sign, then we require a constant. So if I put an equivalence, that is equal sign, by removing this proportional sign, then I would require a constant, and the constant which comes here is R. So this is the true mathematical representation for Ohm's law. V equals to Ri. Here V is known as the applied potential. I is the current which is flowing through the conductor, and R is the constant, and the name for this constant was kept to be resistance. So R here symbolizes resistance. So this is what you have to see in Ohm's law. This gives you the statement of Ohm's law. This could be the fourth point, which gives you the mathematical form or the mathematical representation for Ohm's law. And now the last point would be, you have to remember the graphical representation of Ohm's law. So the fifth point, which is the graphical representation of Ohm's law. And this graphical representation, it means whenever you plot a graph between the applied potential, that is V, on y-axis, and on the x-axis, when you take the current, which is denoted by the symbol I, then this graph, that is whenever you are increasing the value of potential, the value of current is also increasing. It means whenever the potential is 0, the current is also 0. Let's suppose whenever the potential is 246, then the amount of current is also increasing. So you get these points. Here if I mark the points, then the points obtained are, this would be my first point. Then as I increase the value of potential, then the value of current also increases. And in turn, whenever I join all the points which are observed, that is all the coordinate points, then you will get a straight line graph. So this is a kind of straight line graph which you obtain for Ohm's law. This graph is made experimentally. In your examinations, you could be given the values of potential and current, and then you can be asked that draw a graph for Ohm's law according to Ohm's law. And the conductors, okay, this is the graph, and the nature of the graph is straight line. So always you obtain a straight line graph when you plot the graph between V and I, that is potential and current. So this completes your topic Ohm's law. You have to remember the statement. Who proposed Ohm's law? Then what is the statement of Ohm's law? Then comes its formula, mathematical relationship, and this is the last, which is graphical representation of Ohm's law. Okay, I hope this topic is clear, because now we will be doing a topic that is the new term which was introduced here, R. And R, I told you it is a constant, and this constant is known as resistance. So the next topic which we will be doing is, what do you mean by the term resistance? So if we try to define resistance, resistance is the restriction in the flow of charges. That is, every material, every wire, it does not allow the charge. The flowing charge, I told you, whenever we are talking about the chapter electricity, then current is produced due to the flow of electrons. So resistance is the restriction or the opposition offered in the flow or movement of charges. And the charges which we are concerned here is electrons. That is, we say when the current is being produced, when the electrons or the flow of electrons occur in a circuit, then the electric current is produced. So flow of electron through a circuit is responsible for producing current. But resistance is what? It is the opposition faced by the electrons whenever they are flowing or whenever they are being conducted. So why this property is called resistance, but why is resistance produced by wires or by the conductors? Because if we study the structure of any wire on its atomic scale, then we know that every wire is composed of atoms. Let's suppose these are the atoms of the conductor. Conductor means wire. So these are the atoms. Every atom, it would contain a nucleus, that is a positively charged center, and then it would have electrons. Inside the nucleus, you have the presence of protons and neutrons, because the neutrons do not have any kind of charge and the charge on protons is positive. In turn, the complete charge on an atom is neutral because the nucleus are positively charged due to the positive charge of protons and the electrons are negatively charged. The number of protons are always equal to the number of electrons. In turn, the atom as a whole is neutral. But for the flow of electricity or for the generation of current, these electrons, they flow. But whenever these electrons, they will flow, some of the electrons can flow without any restrictions. But the other electrons, if they want to flow, then they would face restriction by these positively charged centers, which are your protons. So these protons and neutrons, they cause an opposition force or they stop the electrons from flowing. In turn, this restriction or opposition is offered by the positively charged center present in every atom. So in turn, every wire or every sort of conductor would have some amount of resistance, because this electron, it can easily flow, it has no kind of resistance. But the electrons present at certain specific positions, they have the presence of protons in their path, and these protons, they do not allow electron to move freely, and due to this property or this restriction is called property of resistance. So I hope this is clear that what do you mean by resistance and what is the cause of resistance in any conductor. The resistance might be larger or smaller based on the composition of conductor, but every conductor exhibits resistance property, okay, at same or different levels. So now we have talked about resistance. This would be the first point. This you can write in your own words, and this would be the cause of resistance. What causes resistance? Then the third point would be the symbol of resistance, which we have seen in Ohm's law. Resistance is shown by the symbol capital R. And the fourth point would be the unit of resistance. So as we are dealing how to find the units, from the starting day when we saw that we can derive the units from the formula itself. So this resistance, talking about the formula, it came in Ohm's law, that is V equals to IR. From this, if I derive the formula of resistance, then resistance would be V upon I, that is potential upon current. So the unit of potential is volt, and the unit of current is ampere. So the unit of resistance would become volt per amperes. And this volt per ampere, it is given a new name which is known as ohms. So the unit of resistance is ohm, and this SI unit So the SI unit of resistance came out to be ohm here, and this ohm is denoted by this kind of symbol. So this is the symbol which is used for denoting the SI unit of resistance, that is ohm. So resistance, I hope the definition, the cause of resistance, symbol and its unit is clear. Now this is a derived formula of resistance, okay, which we can form from the Ohm's law. But you have one more formula regarding resistance, and that formula is resistance is directly proportional to length of a conductor or length of wire divided by the area of cross section of the wire. Okay, so resistance is directly proportional to length upon area, and if we write this using symbols, then R would be directly proportional to L upon A. And whenever we remove this proportional sign, then you require a constant. So the constant here would be rho L upon A. And this gives you the formula for resistance. Resistance is R equals to rho L by A. So here R is obviously the resistance. L symbolizes the length of wire, A symbolizes the area of wire, and this constant, it is known as rho. Okay, so the constant is called rho, and this rho actually denotes a physical parameter which is resistivity. So please do not get confused between both the terms resistance and resistivity. They are quite similar in meaning, but they have some differences. Resistance is the opposition offered in the flow of charges, whereas resistivity, it is a constant which has been introduced while deriving the formula for resistance. So resistivity we will define in our next sections. First we will be dealing, this is the formula of resistance, and now we will be dealing the factors on which this resistance depends. So now the topic is factors on which the resistance depends. So you have to remember 2 to 3 factors. The first factor would be length of wire. So as we increase the length of wire or length of conductor, resistance also increases. Because from the formula it is clear that R is directly proportional to L. It means with increase in the value of length, let's write it theoretically, if length of wire increases, then resistance, that is denoted by R, it also increases. And why it is so? Because when the length of wire is increasing, it means the number of atoms are increasing. And when the number of atoms will increase, more resistance or more restriction would be felt by the electrons in their flow path. So as the length of the wire is increasing, its resistance also increases. And if the length of wire decreases, the R value also decreases. So in short, we say that resistance is directly proportional to length of conductor. The second factor would be area of cross section of conductor. So the second factor is area of cross section of the conductor. Okay, so whenever we are talking about the area of cross section, we see that resistance is inversely proportional to area. It means whenever you increase the area of the conductor, its resistance would decrease. So if the area of the conductor increases, then resistance decreases because they are inversely proportional. And if the area of the conductor would decrease, that means its resistance would be extremely high. And there is one more question, okay, for you. If I say that I want maximum current to flow, then what is the condition required for the flow of maximum current? So the answer is, its resistance should be higher or lower. So if I want maximum current to flow through a conductor, it means flow of current means the electron should easily flow, and in turn this signifies that there should be no restriction in the flow of electrons. And when there would be no restriction, when the resistance is low. So low value of resistance means electrons will easily flow in their path, they would not be offered any restriction, and when resistance is low, the current would be maximum. So the condition for maximum current is the presence of very lower value of resistance. I hope this is clear, that resistance and current are inversely proportional to each other, and this you can even see from the formula. In Ohm's law, V was equals to IR, and then R we derived to be V upon I. So from this formula it is clear that R is directly proportional to V, whereas R is inversely proportional to I. That means when you increase the value of potential, the value of resistance would increase, because these are directly proportional. But current and resistance are inversely proportional. So if you require maximum current, then the value of resistance should be minimum. Okay? So the last factor which we are doing is resistance depends on the nature of conductor. And this will be dealing whenever we will be seeing resistivity, that when the nature of conductor, nature means the material of the wire changes, then the resistance also changes. So these are the three factors on which resistance depends. Now question, this was the first logical question. The second logical question is, if we desire for maximum current flow, then what dimensions of the conductor should be preferred? Conductor means the metallic wire through which the current is flowing. So here in the question, I have given you that I require a condition for maximum current. So what should be the dimensions? Dimensions means what should be the length and area of the wire which we are talking about. Can you answer? Can you relate all the concepts? See, for maximum current, I told you for maximum current the required condition is the resistance should be lower. And if I want lower resistance, then if I see the length, for getting lower resistance, length should be also lower. So we require a short length conductor. So if I write the answer here to this question, then I require a short length conductor. I am talking about the area. I want less resistance, which means my area should be higher. So I require a short, and higher area of cross section means thick or wide conductor. So I require a short and thick wire. If I want maximum current to flow through my wire, so for the condition of maximum current, you should have a short wire that is smaller in length, and it should have a very wider or a thicker area. I hope all the concepts are clear. So now we are moving on to our new topic, or on to a new term which is known as resistivity. So what is resistivity? Resistivity is again much similar to resistance. That is, resistivity also denotes the restriction or opposition in the flow of electrons. So what is the difference then? Why we are having two different terms for the same opposition felt by electrons? So resistance is a general term, whereas resistivity is the characteristic property of material. This is the only difference. Resistivity, it is the characteristic property of materials. That means if I change the material of my conductor, the material of my wire, then its resistance would change. And this change in resistance is called resistivity. So I can say that every conductor has a fixed particular value of resistance and this particular fixed value of resistance, which is dependent on the nature or on the material of the conductor, it is called resistivity. So every conductor, every metallic wire has a different value of resistance because of its composition, that is because it is made up of different type of substance. So that conductor, we'll call it has a particular value of resistivity. So resistance is a more general term, and when you are using this term specifically for any particular kind of wire, then you will use this word resistivity. Then you can also see there is a table which is given in your books which shows you resistivity of different conductors. Okay, this sort of table is given. So these all tables, it represents the resistivity of different materials. So you do not have to memorize this table, it is already being given, see this point. These are only for solving numericals. So what are the conclusions which we can draw from the table itself? So you can see that the conductors have lowest amount of resistivity and the insulators have a higher amount of resistivity. So the conclusion or trends, if we talk for resistance and resistivity, the trends would be same, okay? So these conductors, they have lowest value of resistance and resistivity compared to the alloys which have a moderate resistance, and in turn insulators. Insulators are what? Insulators are called as poor conductors. So if we talk about insulators are known as the poor conductors of heat and electricity. Why they are called poor conductors? Because they do not allow any kind of heat and electricity to pass through it. So in turn, insulators, they do not allow heat and electricity to pass through them. So because why they are not allowing the electricity? Electricity means they are not allowing electron or the charge to flow through it. That means their resistance would be higher. So you can see that insulators have highest value of resistance compared to conductors, and in turn they do not allow any kind of electricity to flow through them. And we have already seen resistance as inversely proportional to current. That means if the current would be higher, then resistance is lower. But if the value of resistance here is high, it means the current would be nearly equal to 0 or extremely low. So these are the trends, and you do not have to see, you can just see the value that silver is a metal. Conductor means they are metallic substance. Conductors are metallic in nature and insulators are non-metallic generally. So these conductors, these are metallic in nature, and the metal having the highest current or the lowest value of resistivity is silver. So among the metals, the silver has lowest resistivity, and when you move more lower in the table, then the value of resistivity would increase. Resistivity, I am denoting it using its symbol rho. So as we move from the top to the bottom in the conductor, then the value of rho, that is resistivity, increases, and in turn the value of current would decrease. Okay, I hope this is clear. And the alloys, they show an intermediate resistivity between conductors and insulators. That is, their resistivity is higher than lower than insulators but higher than conductors. And then we can derive the formula for resistivity. So we know that resistance R is equals to rho L upon A. Now we need to derive the formula for resistivity. So resistivity, this A would get transposed and get multiplied to your R. So the formula would be RA by L. So this is the formula for resistivity. Okay, just somewhat reverse to the formula of resistance. So this gives you the formula for resistivity. Now we have to see the units. Before that, you can read this paragraph. This is the paragraph from your NCERT textbook itself. See, it is written the metals and the alloys have very low resistivity in the range. Its range is given, you can learn the range. They are good conductors of electricity. Insulators, I told you, for example, rubber and glass, they have very high value of resistivity, and both the resistance and resistivity, they also depend on temperature. So I have told you 3 factors on which resistance and resistivity depend. You can include the 4th point or the 4th factor as temperature. Okay? Then this table, you can read it from here. Alloys do not oxidize or burn readily at high temperatures. For this reason, they are commonly used in electrical heating devices, and tungsten is the metal which is used in electric bulbs. So you have to remember 2 points from this paragraph. Why alloys have lower resistivity than insulators, and what is the reason, what is the most common metal which is used in electric filaments or electric bulbs. So it is tungsten. Okay. Now we'll be doing the units for resistance and resistivity. So firstly, we'll be doing the unit of rho, or first let's do the SI unit of resistance. We have already seen that the SI unit of resistance is volt per amperes, which is written as ohm, and it is denoted by this symbol. Now we can derive the SI unit of resistivity. So the SI unit of resistivity, the formula is, you know, resistance is R equals to rho L upon A. So the formula for resistivity is RA by L, as we derive from the formula for resistance. Now talking about the units, the unit of R is ohm, then area you can measure in meter square, and length we can take in meters. So this meter gets cancelled out, and you have the unit as ohm meter, or you can write it in this manner. So remember, this is not again ohms per meter. Both the units ohm and meter are getting multiplied. So the final unit is ohm meter. I hope this concept is clear. Now, okay, we have discussed till the topic of resistivity we have completed. In the next class, we'll be starting with different types of combination of resistors, that is series and parallel combination, and then we'll be solving some of the questions related to that concept, and I need you to practice out all the questions of your NCERT textbooks till the topics we have covered in this chapter. Till then, thank you for joining today's class. Stay home, stay safe, and keep studying.